June 2023 draws to a close. ApexX is still alive, still crawling along. The infernal heat of summer has arrived. Even early into May, temperatures push as high as the mid-30s. As the dark reality of my new life begins to hit me, and the claustrophobia begins to annihilate my sanity, I continue the fight. The first and foremost most important development is that I got into contact with a Monster Hunter developer known as Z-Static Z. And Z-Static Z had created a hair and tail asset that I had used as a reference way back years ago when we first began talking about the player character within this project. He has generously allowed this project to make use of those assets. And since then, I have implemented a test rendition within ApexX for Anius, making use of experimental frameworks to drive their animations. These developments have substantially pushed forward the quality of the player character, but in doing so, they further expose the weakness of the existing and original assets, like the Worgen port and the ArtStation hair that I am still using. Though I have searched high and low, I haven't been able to find anything suitable I can use for it. At least, nothing that I am in possession of or can otherwise work with. I am convinced that a superior asset does not exist. The closest I've ever found is STL files for 3D printing. Useless. I've also tried to work a little bit on the animation blueprint and locomotion system for the player character. I made my first attempt at implementing Dragon IK, so I could get angular-dependent weapon aiming. But this is not nearly as easy as it sounds. Also, I was unable to get the ALS IK ecosystem to work with Dragon IK at all. Suffice to say, I won't be using ALS for any of the other humanoids, and in the future I'll be researching the Kai locomotion system instead, or making things that are custom as I have been. The UI has seen its first revision. Following the Material Lab released by Epic, I updated all of the UMG assets and the related functionality for the project. The stagger bar more accurately reflects its actual functionality, and the system also supports the addition of bleed and float damage. All the related functionality for those systems is also in. We will discuss bleed and float damage in the future. They are systems that are designed to manipulate existing numbers, rather than introduce new ones to track. The UI still needs a lot of work. It probably needs a background plate, so that it's not so easy to lose in complex terrain and unforeseeable lighting conditions. And the little detail animations can probably be improved quite a lot. This is a first experiment with the Material Lab content, so it's fairly rough. Substantial efforts have been placed into organizing and optimizing the internals of the project's existing infrastructure. However, as of the release of 5.2, there is yet no sign of culling support for lights, particles, skeletal meshes, or other such things for nanite. This is an extremely important optimization that we have seen no sign of thus far, and this is the main cause of the project's stutters and stalls at this time. The newly added nanite support for foliage only works maybe 10% of the time. The vast majority of foliage or masked objects with nanite on them flicker like crazy and are entirely unusable. These constant setbacks, coupled with my aspirations of using a puzzle system given to us earlier in the year, have all become dead ends. The puzzle system is entirely unusable. It spawns actors and then destroys them on tick. I will have to make my own solution instead, as usual. If there is any hope for a second voyage, I just have to work harder. By the end of May, I had become so disillusioned with the pathetic state of character models on the World Wide Web, I was willing to go back into Blender and take another swing at trying to fix the fucking Worgen port. With the assistance of a drunken Swedishman, We coordinated our efforts and spent many hours making the smallest changes here and there. They all amounted to a substantial compositional improvement, which, along with the new ears and tail, help solidify the asset ever so slightly more. Many aspects of the asset's proportions were adjusted to be more realistic and remove blizzard clownification. However, more advanced subjects like new hands, new feet, or new hair yet remain entirely unapproachable. It seems that the only way forward is to bash my skull into everything in my path, just as I have for the last 25 years. Speaking of bashing skulls, the player character's moveset was also enhanced within the month of June, and the weapon has also been updated with an experimental placeholder claymore, dual attack stance, and its related distinct interactions for the character moveset. AI support for summoning and managing minions, improved AI jumping behavior, consolidation and improvement of AI task-related systems, refinement and bug fixing related to AI stance management, bug fixes related to the loading of progression data, and the addition of a restart from last save point in the in-game menu. These are but just a few things that have been done within the last while. Internals, but important ones. As I become more bold in my research and development, I have begun to tackle many of the things I wish to tackle in this project now that I've been able to optimize the projectile system rather significantly. Now that the moveset is reaching a fairly acceptable placeholder state, we can begin to move forward. That means it is time to focus my energy on creating content, at long last. And so I fight on.